Yo guys, sorry, you already know that today we're going to be doing a character tier list for Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls. I just recently finished playing the game, and just like I did with the other Danganronpa games, I decided that I will rank the characters from Ultra Despair Girls. I am not going to do it the same format as the other ones, because in the mainline Danganronpa games, obviously it's so easy to say, oh, there's 16 students that have like an ultimate talent, and you can rank them up against each other like that. This is a little different because all the characters in this game offer different things. So instead, I just found a tier list, and I will use this as a way to sort of summarize my thoughts on the characters. I do think that the characters in this game are a little weaker than the others. I do think this game overall is a little bit weaker than the others, but I still had a good time. I thought it was pretty fun. So let's go ahead and just talk about the characters. I found this tier list online. I'm just gonna do it. We're gonna run through it, and it's gonna be just like that. So hopefully y'all enjoy. If so, let me know and leave your opinions in the comments below, and you can correct me on anything that I get wrong. I'm probably going to jump around here because I think I'm not really sure what sort of order this is even in. Also, I have no idea why this like ball Monokuma is here. I don't know if this is supposed to be like, hey, like, what are my opinions on like the Monokuma forms in general, or what? But as just to like have it thrown somewhere, I'll just throw it in the middle. I mean, it's fine. I like the different Monokuma stuff, but they're not really like a character, they're just like an enemy. I don't think any sort of Monokuma does anything in this game. So yeah. Also, I'm going to be judging the characters based only on how they are in this game. This is important because there obviously are characters that show up in other games. But, you know, someone like Byakuya doesn't really do anything in this game. Obviously, I think Byakuya is a fantastic character, I love him a lot. But like, he doesn't really do anything in this game. You know what I mean? Like, he shows up at the beginning, and then he's a hostage until the very end. So, there's that. Same thing applies with Makoto. It's like he doesn't really do anything. He's there to confirm that he is, like, alive and, like, a part of Future Foundation and whatnot. And basically tell Kamaru that, like, he can't really, like, send help right now. So, that's essentially his entire purpose of the game. He doesn't really do that much. Which is going to be the case for a lot of these people. Genocide Jack, I mean, character-wise, she doesn't really do that much. I'll put her one step above just because I generally like her presence and just like wackiness. I don't think she offered as much as she did in the first Danganronpa game, but there was also less of a character study done on the Genocide Jack side, and there was a lot more exploration given to Toko's character. So Toko is like a separate entity on this tier list, so I'll just throw Genocide Jack there. I guess we'll do this now. It's like I didn't really want to just like go directly in order, but it might end up working out. Haiji, I think is the worst character in the game. I think Haiji is pretty bad. He's not really somebody, like, he starts off just being like, oh, a leader of the resistance force, but they're not really doing anything. They have no plan of what they're gonna do. Haiji is just basically cowering away in fear. And then the ending didn't really do him any favors, because it's like, I feel like they could have taken that and taken that as a way to drive him to like fight back, but in his view of like fighting back, he kind of went a little bit over the wall and just yeah, kind of just went a little bit crazy. And I just didn't really feel like he's basically trying to beg you to kill all the children that exist in an act of revenge, and I don't know, none of it really sat that well with me. You know, especially just like that last scene where he was just like forcing Monaca to like tell the truth or whatever, and like everything was all cool and good, and then Monaca mentions like one thing he doesn't like, and he's just like, you know, obviously she's lying. It's just like, no, you're just stupid. Haiji, I came away very unimpressed with. And I was gonna do this in the opposite way, because I do think that Haiji is the worst character in the game. Apparently, people have a very negative opinion of Kurokuma, and would maybe say that Kurokuma is the worst. I don't think so. I'll put Kurokuma in D, because he does get a little annoying, but I mentioned it when I was playing, his jokes land like 25% of the time, and that's like better than 0, so like I won't put him at F, but I mean, it's not great, but you know, he exists and is fine. Sure, I'll throw Hiroko, she didn't really do much, but she does have a really cool design, and that alone's gonna put her in B. She just, I guess, is trying to find like the other targets and whatnot, and see if she can get them to safety or whatever her role was. But she's interesting. She has a cool looking design. That's basically all there is to it. That's the only reason that puts her in B. If we're gonna go with the other ones that are also related to characters that we knew, we have Yuta, who was fine but didn't last that long. And we have, I think his name is Taichi. I looked at the character names before, and I did not remember any of these three names off the top of my head. But that's Chihiro's father, and like, I mean, he helps. I mean, he does do more to help, actually. Now that I think about it, he's the one that like actually gets the elevator working, and then he like kind of gets sacrificed, but as a way to get us to the top of the tower. Though he does legitimately do more for us than anybody else in C tier. I might actually throw him up in B tier. Yeah, because like he did do more. I guess Yuta also like showed us that it's dangerous to try and leave the city, but like, I don't know. That looks right to me. Let's start talking about some of the Warriors of Hope. Why don't we? Let's just go. We'll start with my least favorite one, which was Masaru. I thought Masaru was kind of annoying. I could feel for him when we finally learned about his sort of tragic backstory. He was the first one that we got introduced to. Oh, these kids might be a little messed up in the head because of their childhood trauma, and his was very, very brutal. So it's hard not to feel for him. But outside of that, he was very kind of obnoxious, like, I'm the leader, everyone's got to do what I say. Very childlike, very, you know, it is just like a loudmouth kid. That's sort of all he is. And he's fine. You know, there's an argument for C tier, but I was just like, if there's one of them that I like really don't like, it would be Masaru. And then I'll do one more because Kotoko was another one that was just like, she was fine. I think she was a little bit better. I'll throw her up to C tier. Kotoko again kind of went a little over the line sometimes. Was a little like foul mouthed, and I don't know. There was just some stuff that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But obviously, I felt for her as well. In terms of like her upbringing and whatnot. There's obviously a lot of stuff that she was dealing with. So yeah, I don't really have that much more to say about her, but I think she was okay and not the worst one. We'll take a break because I do want to kind of address, I guess, some of these towards the end. I think Shirokuma was actually going to end up down here as well. I think they did an awful job with Shirokuma's like storyline, because he was presented as like just being good like the whole time, and there wasn't really any sort of foreshadowing for him to be bad outside of Toko being like, I don't trust you. But besides that, there was really no foreshadowing as to like what Shirokuma was up to, why he was up to anything. And then he just like overtakes the Big Bang Monokuma at the end to attack Kamaru and Toko, and it's just like, but like why? I don't know. I just feel like they really dropped the ball telling the story. I was like, I don't really get. I guess there doesn't need to be any sort of deeper reason. He's just like a Monokuma doing Monokuma things, but like, I don't know. I if there was like more to be told there, I just didn't really get it. So I'm just like, I felt really disappointed by the end. And I guess I just dislike Shirokuma at the end. I think like outside of just random like turn at the end, I think he could be like B or C, but I was just like, I like there's such a sour taste that it was just like he really didn't have any sort of consistent storyline that felt satisfying by the end. So I think they kind of dropped the ball on that. I'm looking at these, I was just like, what do I do? What do I do with Nagito? He was clearly like important in the game, in terms of he was trying to do a lot of things to make a lot of despair happen so that way he could have the ultimate hope. And I mean, you know, there's always things like that. I am a fan of Nagito, so it is interesting. I will, because like at first I was like, does he go like C tier? Because it's just like, he did like whatever. I was like, no, he had a big influence, and he is interesting. I might actually throw him the whole way up to A tier. I don't think he had like the same sort of Nagito presence that he did in Danganronpa 2. So it's like, it's not quite the same, and he was a little hard to figure out, but mostly because I was unsure of how much the influence of despair caused him to like change anything about himself, or if he was all there doing things under his own like volition or whatever. So I think that was a little bit confusing, but I think for the most part things line up for how he usually acts, and I do like Nagito, so I'll put him in A tier. Also going to A tier is my boy Jataro. He's so funny. You cannot convince me that they didn't just like put the microphone in front of some kid. It was just like, hey, ramble on, and then just like take half of the lines and just like use that, and then also just like made some really creepy lines. Jataro said some very unsettling things, but something about him just made me laugh most of the time. And then I think his story probably like hit the least. I think it was like the least impactful in terms of like the Warriors of Hope and like their upbringing and whatnot. But I mean, that's not to say that like he didn't have any sort of rough upbringing. It just hit me like the least. But I don't know. I did like Jataro, and I think he stayed around for like the perfect amount of time. I think if he lasted the entire game, it might be a bit much, but I think he lasted just the right amount of time. I'm kind of avoiding. I was like, what do I do with Komaru and Toko? I actually don't know. So I'm gonna throw Nagisa in B. Nagisa was somebody that started off kind of like nothing, but I always am very fascinated by the very calm, logical characters because I am more interested in their sort of thought process. That's why I generally gravitate more towards these like calmer, logical ones than like these loud, emotional ones like Masaru. So I was interested in Nagisa, and I think the only thing that kind of sucks is he didn't really go fully against Monaca at the end. He was able to be like manipulated at the end, and basically ended up, as far as I know, dying in the fight. So it's like I think if he had like a more satisfying conclusion to his story arc, that he like went full traitor against Monaca and like led some sort of like attack against her, I think that he would have gone definitely to A tier and maybe even higher. I don't know. But because he kind of ended off like not being able to get over that, which is really sad, he's just going to be the top of B tier. He's definitely better than every other character there, but I can't put him that much higher. Komaru kind of annoyed me for most of the game. I'm basically trying to decide, does Komaru go the whole way down to D tier, or does she go to C tier? Because like, she took a long time. No, she goes to D tier. I was like, basically the whole game, she was like not able to do anything. She's like, I can't be special. I'm just a nobody. And I get that's kind of the point that the game wanted to drive through. It's just like, oh, she's a nobody, but she can still like do this. But I don't know. And then like the end, I really didn't get how she was almost able to like succumb to like full despair and basically do exactly what Monaca wanted, despite the fact that like I don't know, I just didn't understand when she saw like her parents being like killed in front of her. She's like, because you showed me this, I'm now going to do exactly what you told me, instead of being the opposite. I guess when you're in that sort of mindset, you're not thinking clearly, which I guess is the only explanation. But I'm just like, that on top of the fact that Komaru was just like, she would get so close to like figuring out like, hey, I need to fight, and then immediately be like, I can't do this, and then would just like sit there and whine until like Togo like snapped her out of it. So generally, I'm not a big fan of Toko. I'm pretty sure I definitely put her. I think I put her as like my least favorite character in Danganronpa 1. But she was definitely better here. She did have her weird Byakuya moments. She did have her weird obsession with the brother complex. I think there was a lot of things I didn't like about her, but she did get some good character growth. C tier, she's definitely better than Komaru. As far as like the two focuses of the game, I do think she's better. But I don't know that I liked her that much to go as high as like B tier. You might even be like the top of C tier. They're not like all super ordered. Like these can be in like whatever order, it doesn't matter that much. I'd say these are ordered pretty similarly. You could probably switch these two however you want it doesn't really matter to me. So yeah, probably like top of C tier. I did like that Toko was like sort of accepting of like making a friend, and she started to understand like how friendships work. She had to balance her desire to save Byakuya and help Komaru, and I think there was a lot of good stuff there. I just think there was a lot of inherent Toko-isms that still sort of rub me the wrong way sometimes. So I can't put her too high, but like, I mean, you see this, like, Toko literally went from an F tier character to a C tier character. I mean, that jumped 2 levels of character ranks, so I think that's not nothing. I don't know. But as you can see, S tier is completely empty until now. I think Monaca is the most terrifying antagonist in Danganronpa for sure, and maybe in all of video games. Off the top of my head, I cannot think of somebody that I was as unnerved by as Monaca. Anytime she talked, I just got a bad vibe. Her eyes with like the swastikas are terrifying, and even without those, just like, she would get these really intense looks on her face. She would be able to manipulate the ones around her to do exactly what she wanted. She very much was like a child, but like also just terrifying in every way, and I think she captured the role of being the main antagonist fantastic. She's not this type of villain that like has some sort of redemption or even a really good reason as to like why she became bad. There was this sort of obsession with Junko, but like a lot of her childhood, I guess she was like a little bit excluded, but I don't know if it was as bad as she made it out to be. It's hard to know what part of it is true and what part of it isn't. Like, clearly she wasn't like crippled by like her parents or whatever. That was all like fake essentially. So I don't really know how much else was real, but just the fact that she really maintains like this presence of being a terrifying person to go against and a terrifying person anytime that she was talking and interacting with the Warriors of Hope. And you could tell just like as soon as like any of them left or died or whatever, she just like didn't really care. Just the lack of emotion and stuff like that. It was so interesting to see in real time, and I think Monaca hard carried a lot of this game in terms of all of the Warriors of Hope and just like antagonist stuff. I was always very interested to see what was happening and what Monaca would do next. So yeah, that is sort of my current thoughts on the characters from Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls. Again, this is just for this game in general. So not factoring in past games or future games that I don't have knowledge about. So that is where we stand now. If you all enjoyed, let me know. Let me know some of your opinions. Correct me on anything that I said wrong or what your, opinions are that differ from mine. Things like that. Leave a like and subscribe. I do have a lot more Danganronpa content coming up in the future, so hopefully y'all are excited for that. I think I got everything. So I'm just gonna end it off here. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you around. Peace out.